Hi, everyone. It's Jose Velasquez from HireMilitary, and I'd like to welcome you to a terrific show today. So excited to talk to you about American Corporate Partners. Speaking of, they're the sponsors of the show, and ACP's free mentoring program connects veterans, active duty, and military spouses with leading industry corporate professionals for customized mentorships, as they like to say, find your next career with ACP. And you know what? ACP makes a humongous difference in people's lives. And I'd like to introduce you to two gentlemen who are really the epitome of this. So Marty is a mentor and coordinating producer for Major League Baseball. Marty, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jose.
Also, I'd like to introduce you to Todd, who's a veteran of 6 years. He was a diesel mechanic in the Army. You were in the Army, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and he's now an account manager over at Grubhub. So we're gonna talk to him about his experience and his transition as well. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And so, guys, what an interesting program that you've been a part of. I'm really excited to hear more about it. And I'd just like to remind everybody, if you'd like to comment, if you'd like to share some thoughts, please jump into the comment section, whether you're listening to us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or on Facebook. We welcome your questions. And, you know, we welcome your opportunity to discuss this with Marty and Todd. In addition to that, we've got some folks from the ACP team who are there who can help you set up your own transition program and your own mentorship. Speaking of mentorship, the person who jumped in on this mentorship opportunity was Todd. Todd, I'd love to learn more about your last days of service, your transition, and why you chose to use the ACP program.
Yeah, so I ended up getting medically retired from the military. I was airborne, so I messed up my back and knees. And from there, I kind of wasn't too sure what I wanted to do after that. So when I was in school, I was getting ready to graduate. And that's when I heard about ACP and what they go for. So I was introduced by a gentleman to Andrea Bryant, who then introduced me to Marty. And I just thought it was a great way for me, because I was going to graduate college at that time, to figure out what I want to do after that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, you transitioned early, and, the military, I mean, I did 30 years, right? But the military was right for me. But the vast majority of people get out early, which is terrific because you have a lifetime to get out and do great things. And so, I'm really excited that you took this opportunity. And the gentleman that you brought, that you connected with was an outstanding gentleman. Matter of fact, let me stop and share a story with you. So, I'm a two-time, it took me 2 times to go through the ACP program to figure my life out. And my first mentor was back in 2011. But my second mentor was last year, the year before and last year. And this gentleman that is coming up, I had the opportunity, she introduced me to him, and he was nice enough to give me about 25, 30 minutes of his very busy day and share some terrific thoughts with me. And I shared with him that even today, I still, think back on that conversation we had and the impact. So, Marty, now that I've talked you up, I'm so appreciative you're here with us. Thank you for being on the show. And, I'd love to ask for your thoughts as a busy executive with Major League Baseball. Why in the world would you jump into this mentoring thing?
So, I mean, my career is very busy, obviously, but I've always felt that I wanted to give back in some way. I really was intrigued by the opportunity of possibly giving back to the military. And when I saw that ACP was doing something in conjunction with Major League Baseball a couple of years ago, I applied. And it's very popular, to be honest, among Major League Baseball, and it fills up quickly. So I didn't get in the first year I tried. And then I tried again last year, and I was lucky enough to get in. And like Todd said, Andrea Bryant matched us up together right around a year ago from now. And timing wise, it really was amazing because it was right before the pandemic hit. And it really ended up being a fulfilling experience for me in addition to Todd. I know he's spoken how it's affected him, but it's really affected me in many ways. And it's been super rewarding. And it's just great to be able to give back to the servicemen and women that sacrifice themselves every day for us.
Man, I'll tell you, so appreciative. I'm really so appreciative because again, I'd like to say I know, but I did broadcasting and some marketing with the Army, but likely never at your level. So trying to imagine how busy your life is, and that the fact that you took time to share your experience and help a service member. I know Todd appreciates it, and likely is so many of us do. So so speaking of, and you made a great point, Marty, is the pandemic. It occurred, and here you are in the middle of this crazy thing. Todd, how in the heck did you get through it? And what kind of either words of wisdom from Marty or what part of your relationship helped you get through some of that?
Honestly, Marty kind of met me at like a vulnerable time in my life. I was living in New York at the time when like the pandemic happened. Mine and my girlfriend's lease was up, so we had to move back home. And I was getting ready to graduate college, so I was going through a bunch of interviews. And through all of it, Marty just kind of was there to talk, an extra ear. And anytime I ever needed anything, he was just there. So it was kind of just like, if you ever need anything, I'm always here. I'm someone to talk to. And honestly, it was just a friend to me.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes that's all you need, right? Sometimes that's all you need. Marty, so you began to introduce some great ideas and some thoughts to Todd as he transitioned. What did you find were some of Todd's strengths as a service member, and then some things that he didn't know that maybe surprised you? I know that we tend to be relatively alienated to the civilian business world, and so would you share some of that with us?
Absolutely. So like Todd said, when we first connected, he was at a transitional point in his life where he was trying to figure out what to do with his career. He had a couple of options on the table, and all I told him was just, lay out the options to me and I'll give you the best advice I can. And then the ultimate decision is up to you. And one thing I noticed from talking to Todd is something that you can't fake, something that is just innate within people, is that he's hungry. Like, he's hungry to be successful. And one of the options that he told me about was he had an option on the table, which was basically a seasonal job. And then he had another option on the table, which was a staff job, but not necessarily in the field that he wanted to be in, but there was room for growth there. Mm-hmm. So we talked out both scenarios. I gave him my advice regarding both. I told him, maybe there's room to grow in the staff job and you can really, kind of make your mark there, even though it's not necessarily the field you want to be in. But when you're starting out, the best thing is to just really gain experience in any field you can, because you can apply that in other avenues later on in life. So Todd took that advice and he went with the job at Grubhub, and he's been super successful there. And along the way, we've talked about, further transitions, possibly moving on to other jobs and stuff like that. And I've given him advice along the way, but either way, I think he will agree with this, that I think the experience that he's had there and the growth he's had there, regardless of what he does in the future, will be great as a stepping stone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. That's terrific. And I know that was really some terrific advice. I think because in the service, you're just in and the world, there's nothing else but the service. And so you're kind of in a box. And the idea that, you can move around, from organization to organization is likely terrifying for many of us. Todd seems to have taken it in stride. He's on his way doing great things. And Todd, tell me a little bit about, what you're doing now and, kind of like, how that's different or similar to I know it's a different field, but some of those soft skills that you picked up along the way that have helped you in your transition and in your new job.
Yeah, so now I actually work at Grubhub. So obviously through the pandemic, that's been huge. I've been calling restaurants and trying to partner with them to get them onto our platform. And just through that, the military kind of led me for that. Just like never give up and just keep pushing through. Like Marty said, I really didn't know what I was going to do at a certain point, and it was kind of just like, what should I do? And when we figured out Grubhub, we kind of laid it out that it's something that's always going to be there, and it's a good way to help people out. So throughout Grubhub and like my growth, I've been able to use like the leadership experience I've gotten, and I've honestly been able to rely on those friendships that I've developed over the years. And I think the biggest thing that the military ever really gives you is that support system. And I had a couple friends that have transitioned out, and it's just been good to be able to talk to them. So I really just say like the leadership and just really toughness, never give up kind of thing.
Yeah. And I have to assume that then you believe and support networking and the importance of networking.
Yeah, I've taken like that networking thing to the max. I didn't really think about it when I first got out. I know I was told about LinkedIn and those different platforms, but when you're first getting out, you're told a lot of things. And once I was actually in college, I really noticed and like could see how important those relationships were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Now, Marty, I know that, you're in an interesting point in your career where you're an executive, you've got a lot of people working for you, you're a creative as well. So you've got a lot of things going on, but do you believe that networking is still important even for someone like yourself who's an executive and in a position of, responsibility? Is that something that you still focus on?
Absolutely. I can tell you just from my own personal experience here at MLB, there's so many different arms and departments that it's important to talk with everybody in each department, work with everybody in each department. If you have tunnel vision, you're never going to achieve the bigger picture. Whereas even if I'm producing a show, if I'm thinking big picture of how we can promote this better on social, how we can market it better, how we can do what we call 360 promotion, where we get the website involved, where we get social involved, where we get the network involved. I think having that type of vision and like you said, networking between departments is still essential, even if it's not in the traditional sense where you're networking to try to find a job necessarily.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's great to hear that, that networking is still so important, even for people, that are at the executive level. Because I think that sets the tone that all of us, whether we're just, a young man or woman getting out of the service or someone who's in a more senior position, for them, networking still is an important factor. So I appreciate that. Now, kind of the greatest level of networking is probably mentorship. And Todd, I would just ask if you would share with us, whether or not this mentorship, from ACP has been meaningful to you. And maybe, I assume you may have other mentors as well for different areas of your life. The importance of mentors, for those people who are in our comment section and may not really fully appreciate what mentors do for you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought this was great. I never had a mentor when getting out, and it was just honestly like a good way for guidance. I know a lot of people in my family, they're not really in any of the fields I was looking to go into. So being able to connect with Marty, who isn't like a professional in an industry I was looking to go into, that was great. He was able to give me some advice from his time going through his career paths. And through that, I'm now part of the mentorship program at Grubhub, because I saw how valuable it was having Marty in my corner. And even at Grubhub, we have mentors too. So I had a mentor there, and then that made me want to go because of Marty. So I think having a mentor is great. It's someone you can always reach out to give advice, and that honestly has like your best interest in mind.
Yeah. So what part of the networking process Todd, what part of the networking process did digital media play in your transition? I mean, in your current life, do you interact with people on, on professional social media sites like LinkedIn? I know we spend a lot of time, HireMilitary spends a lot of time interacting on LinkedIn, and, the individual members as well, just to build networks and to begin to understand and appreciate the different parts, the different areas of our fields, what our interests are, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, yeah. Like I said before, when I was in college, that's when I really looked to the digital media to find these different networks and to find different opportunities. And I was able to look online. I got connected to a gentleman that connected me to Andrea that brought me to ACP. And that's all because of LinkedIn and the resources that Temple had online as well.
Yeah.
So I think those things are great because it opens you to more answers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Marty, and by the way, to everyone who's in the comments section, thank you so much. A lot of people are asking our hardworking ACP folks who are in there answering questions, are sharing some thoughts. And I encourage anyone who's listening right now, I encourage you to please go to the ACP website and take a look at it and sign up. I promise you will be happy you did. They will set you up with a great mentorship. So, so Marty, your business is the world of communications, and now we're talking about social media. I just love to know overall, what's changed in how you communicate with people, over the last maybe 10 years, and maybe going from that legacy thought process of, broadcasting on television all the time to maybe leveraging social media. Would you share that with us?
Absolutely. So it's funny you asked that because I was here when we launched MLB Network in 2009, and it's like night and day now compared to then. It's almost like we're operating in a different world, which we really are. And I can tell you, like you mentioned, social media, now we're actually gearing programming specifically for social platforms where we have multiple digital shows in the works for the 2021 season, where years past that was unheard of. We might have dabbled in it, doing certain segments and things like that on social, but every year it gets more and more. Last year we did a live digital show during Game 2 of the World Series, where we had basically a contest going on during the World Series. I think each year it's going to grow more and more towards that, social media, digital aspect of things, where it's not just about analog TV anymore. We're trying to serve fans and consumers in every way possible, because we know fans and consumers aren't just sitting on the couch anymore. We want to get them in their phones. We want to get them on their iPads. We want to reach them wherever they are. And we've adjusted in accordance with that over the years. We've upgraded a lot of our systems here. We've added more control rooms. We've brought on social media teams. So it's impacted every aspect of what I do here in the 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I have to imagine that, that even that part of what you're doing requires some networking and engagement, with individuals, because it's not always about large groups to really make things happen. Sometimes it's a series of individuals. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not even just communicating with the individuals that I'm working with. It's also, we communicate differently to the fans too. We had shows where, we would take callers 10 years ago. And now, we're having fans tweet to us and do other things, to contact us. We're interacting. You have a scroll on this show that we're doing right now. We have social media scrolls where fans can interact during shows now. It's really like a complete immersive experience where we want the fans to be a part of the show and no longer just be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You froze for just a second, but we got you back. Back. Hey, listen, okay. So let me stop, because I could listen to Marty all day long about talking about, broadcast stuff as a career broadcaster, communicator. I absolutely love what he has to say. But, Todd, it's very interesting. We're talking about networking, and I mean, look, you've got a job already. You've moved on. The military is, probably a great, experience that you'll talk about for the rest of your life, and hopefully cherish the experience you had. But as you transition, and now that you're where you're at, do you still feel that it's important to continue to network at that level?
That's huge because you never know where you're going to end up. Like, a lot of people in the military never know that it might be their time to get out. So you don't know what that next step is. So I think it's great to always develop those relationships and just try to build them, because you never know if, say, like even nowadays, say if you were to lose your job because of COVID, you can reach out to your network and hopefully someone can find you a job or help you, point you in the right direction. So I think having a great network and building on those is always great. That's what I'm always trying to do every day. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree, because I mean, you never know. And, building, I tell people, listen, the moment that you need your network, you really, at that point, if these are brand new people, I mean, why would anyone want to help you if you just connected with them, because then they feel like you're using them. But if you build relationships before you need them, then when you do need them, people will, step up and help you. That's been my experience so far. So, that's terrific. As a matter of fact, Cameron said, great advice, Todd. And I absolutely agree. So listen, I'd love to get your final thoughts on the ACP program, maybe what you got from it personally, and then, whether or not you believe other people, maybe in our comment section, should participate, whether as a mentor or as a protege. In your case, Marty, what are your thoughts, maybe final thoughts on the program and what you got from it?
So, like I said, I tried to get into it a year prior and I wasn't able to get in. So I was lucky enough to get in the program last year, and the whole experience was more rewarding than I could have even imagined. I'm a father of 2 boys, and aside from that type of rewarding experience of being a father, this is like the second best thing to me, honestly, because it really, I love being able to give back, and I love hearing that Todd has enjoyed the experience as much as I have, but it really it feels good, and it honestly like warms my heart just knowing that I've been able to give back in some way, and it honestly has been a fantastic experience.
Wow, I really appreciate it. And do you recommend the ACP program to others?
I absolutely would. Right from the beginning, from when I got connected with Andrea, she did a great job of giving me an initial interview to try to figure out where I was coming from, somebody who I would connect with, my likes, my dislikes. And honestly, like Todd said earlier, we've really formed a friendship, and it started off as a mentor and a mentee, and I consider Todd a friend, because I think that all started with Andrea at ACP and how well of a job she did connecting us, because she saw that we had similar likes, similar interests, and she thought that we would hit it off, and we really did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for our folks who are listening in our comment section and just watching, ACP does a great I joke that they have an algorithm, some magical algorithm behind the closed doors of ACP headquarters, where they find, like you said, they just find people who connect, and very rarely do you hear anything else. And and it isn't necessarily in industries, because you guys are in different industries, but it's about your likes, dislikes, your interests, and how you're going to jive together. And I'm so excited and so glad to hear those kind words from you, Marty, because they mean a lot coming from someone like yourself. Todd, same question. Final thoughts on your experience with ACP. The benefit it brought you as a person, and then maybe whether or not you believe the program is worth looking into for those who are in our comment section.
Yeah, I gotta just pretty much say everything Marty said. Andrea, she really did a great job. I know they have plenty of mentors and everything available. But when we got connected, Marty was honestly the first person she brought me. And when she sent me like his little bio, I was like, this is perfect. I was honestly looking to get into sports when I was graduating from college. And again, Marty said, I was kind of all over the place. I had a couple jobs in sports. I had Grubhub, and we just laid out all the options. Mm-hmm. Going into it, I really didn't know what to expect. But coming out, Marty was with me through like pretty much the hardest times of my life. Besides getting out of the military, I was looking for a job. COVID hit. I ended up buying a house. I got a dog, and now I'm kind of here. So throughout all of that, Marty was really there. He was with it through like some of the biggest moments of my life. And I really appreciate him for everything, because a lot of the things I don't know if I would have got through without him. He really just helped me through it all, because I was kind of lost. And especially like not being like a kid, but going through college as like an older guy, I really didn't know what to do. I'm not in the same group as these other kids that are going right out of high school. I'm coming in years after and kind of have a different mindset on what I'm looking to do. So being able to have a mentor like Marty and develop that friendship and just get advice on the daily on what I think I should do and steer me in the right direction, it was honestly the best thing.
Yeah. And would you recommend the program to others, and whether or not they should get out of here and go sign up right now?
Oh, without a doubt. I think if you're transitioning out, it'd be great. Even kind of how I got introduced. I was getting out of college, and that's like another way. If you're getting out of the military and going into college, I think that's a great way to end up having a mentor, because they can point you in the right direction for the career paths.
Yeah. And
that's really what I was looking for the guidance for initially, was where should I go? Yeah. And what should I do?
Man, I'll tell you what, you made me almost emotional, man. You got to stop that stuff. I'm trying to be professional here. Well, listen, gentlemen, I so much appreciate the opportunity to have interacted with you today. You're both heroes to me, and I'm so appreciative to both of you. Thank you for your service, Todd. And I know you're going to continue to do great things. And Marty and I are hopefully going to continue to be proud of you for all the great things that you do. And similarly to you, Marty, so appreciative to you as someone who's so important and a busy executive. Again, the fact that you took time out of your schedule to spend time and help a service member transition successfully, speaks volumes of the kind of man you are. So very appreciative to you. Gentlemen, I'm going to let you go. And I want to remind everyone in our comments section that the discussion can continue. Our folks from the ACP program will stick around and answer a few last-minute questions for you about the process. But the simplest thing is just to go over to ACP and take a look at it, read about the program on the website, acp-usa.org. Check it out, and I'm telling you, sign up for it, because it will change your life. Okay, let me get out of here. You all so much appreciate that you stuck around with me, and really looking forward to our next discussion next week when we visit and talk to another mentor and protege. I'm Jose Velasquez. Talk to you next week.